So now we're on the fourth story arc within this amazing X-Wing Rogue Squadron comic book series. It consists of issues number 13, 14, 15, and 16. It's written by Michael Stackpole alongside Scott Tolson. And super amazing right off the bat for so many reasons. And very different from the story arcs, which I truly appreciate. Right off the bat, it starts off with amazing illustrations, always on point so far. And with the simulation run, it starts off with the simulation run. Once they're done, the X-Wing pilots start bickering, bantering, and it's super awesome because when I was reading it, it really feels like, I thought actually, that this is really how people get along, comrades, how they start arguing, not to be taken serious, they try to be funny. In other words, just the camaraderie, how they get along. So that was, it's always super cool, getting to know these pilots and how they get along overall. So it wastes no time to get to the point, and which I appreciated once again. There is a Grand Duke from the planet Iatu, and it starts explaining this situation to Wedge, that there's pretty much a civil war, which also involved the Imperials to make it worse. And this Grand Duke reveals to Wedge that among the Rogue Squadron pilots, there is royalty. There is a princess long thought to be dead from Iatu. So once people discovered that this princess is alive, tracked her down to Rogue Squadron and believed that presenting her to the people of Iatu will help resolve the conflict. So that's pretty much the gist of how the story starts off. And it's super funny when it's revealed to Rogue Squadron who this princess from Iatu really is, because they had no clue. So once it's presented, their jaw dropped pretty much. I do have to say that I'm not going to mention her name, who this princess is from Iatu, among the Rogue Squadron pilots, because we've already spent time with her in the other story arcs. So this was a treat, getting to have this X-Wing pilot, which we love, have the spotlight. And she's been amazing, but in this case, she's pretty much almost front and center. The story revolves around her, even though there's many things that happen regarding this conflict that she's involved. So yes, it's super awesome seeing the Rogue's reaction when it's revealed who it is among them. And yeah, so they agree to help, and this princess, this warrior princess, we'll call her, as that's the title of the series, of this story arc. They go to Iatu and they see this this conflict. They attend meetings. They really start understanding how and why this conflict started. So one thing that I love also is that we're given plenty of information for us as readers to really sympathize on certain sides on this conflict, and how this conflict started, why, and how the Imperials are involved, and why. As we know, the Imperials are pretty much out for themselves, and they're involved to get something out of it, obviously. But I do want to mention that this story arc in particular is very, very political. So I'm not saying that as a bad thing at all. It's super intriguing. So you're reading, and what happened to me is I was reading, I wanted to know more and more, and each issue reveals more and more. So you're super engaged, I would say, within this story. So that's one thing that I really appreciate. I love the pace, and even though it's political, Star Wars, there's certain novels that are very political. This comic is very political as far as the story arc, Warrior Princess. But we do spend a lot of time with an explanation, and I'm not saying it as a negative. I appreciated that because there's so much information and we are given explanations to that. On the Imperial side, Moff Tarvin, she is manipulating certain people and kind of manipulating individuals within this civil war, within this conflict. And she's, as Moffs are, she's ruthless. There's this scene, this torture scene that's pretty gruesome, pretty hard not hard to get through, but it's brutal. It is crazy. So it was unexpected. also. So that was cool, part of the story. And one thing that I appreciated also, I'm giving a summary. I want you guys to understand also that there's way more than what I'm explaining. I just don't, once again, this is just highlighting the story in these videos I'm making about this comic book series and showing my appreciation to them. But there's a lot more involved within the storyline that I'm explaining. There's a lot that happens, there's tons of more characters as well. But one thing I really liked also going along with that is how Wedge and the Rogues really back up their comrade. They're on her planet. They're backing her up that she's there to resolve this issue. She does some unexpected things, but positive things to help. And when she confronts her enemies, you can say she doesn't back down. She stands up to them, and that was awesome. There's one scene in particular that she has a glass of wine, I believe, or something, and awesome. Just read it. It really is amazing. Also, there is a flashback that's provided that Darth Vader is involved. It goes back to a time when Darth Vader visited Iatu and meets with this young boy and gives him a ring, and that manipulates this individual up to the time to where this story takes place. Really messed up, as Vader is. So lots happening in this story arc, like I said. Very political, and yes, this warrior princess is front and center overall, I would say, thinking about it. And the spotlight is on this character, one of the rogues, and I really appreciated and love that aspect of it. So once again, the story did not disappoint. Illustrations are right on point, super fun, amazing panels. And another aspect really quick is that I love how the X-Wings aren't only the X-Wing pilots in Rogue Squadron, aren't only flying X-Wings. They are down in the swamps searching for this Imperial base in Iatu, in the swamps, down and dirty, fighting alongside other people in Iatu. Lots of things happen. Very cool.